Hello and welcome. You're watching News Now on Goa365 and I'm your anchor Subhashish Govekar. From Goa streets to world events, we bring you the stories that matter. And here's what's happening today. RBI stuns markets with another repo rate cut as cooling inflation and stronger growth open door for cheaper EMIs. Goa feels full brunt of Indigo's national crisis with 31 flight cancellations and day-long travel chaos. Citizens Forum claims 90% NRI Goans removed from voter list under special intensive revision drive in Goa. Demands ECI inquiry and more time for registrations. And we begin with our top story for the day. The impact of Indigo's nationwide flight disruption has been felt sharply in Goa, where a majority of scheduled services were cancelled through the day. The situation here mirrors a much larger operational crisis across the country, leaving thousands of passengers stranded and the aviation sector under pressure.
In Goa, the scale of the disruption has been severe. According to airport officials, between 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. on December 5th, 38 Indigo flights were scheduled to operate, but 31 flights were cancelled, leaving only 7 flights running throughout the day. The cancellations affected both arrivals and departures, forcing passengers to queue for rebooking, refunds and assistance.
मेरा फ्लाइट रात का 8:35 का है. उन्होंने कैंसिल किया है मेरा फ्लाइट. एंड मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग, व्हेन दे कैंसिल इट, मैं इधर आई तब उन्होंने ऑनलाइन जो उसके वेबसाइट पे है तब वो फ्लाइट का स्टेटस उन्होंने ब्लॉक किया है. मीनवाइल सुबह से वो फ्लाइट कैंसिल हुआ और उसके बावजूद भी वो लोग ऑनलाइन सिस्टम पे फ्लाइट दिखा रहे थे कि फ़्लाइट आप ले सकते हो. सेम गोज़ विथ 125 फ्लाइट, 125 की भी फ्लाइट उन्होंने अभी सिस्टम पे मैंने जब बोला तब स्टेटस बंद किया है. बाकी वो लोग फ्लाइट ओपन रखा था कि एनीबडी कैन बुक. फ्रॉम अहमदाबाद दे आर नॉट गिविंग मी एनी रिस्पॉन्स. अलॉन्ग विथ मी देर वर ऑल द पैसेंजर्स हु वेंट इनसाइड. उन्होंने बोला आप रीस्केड्यूल करवा सकते हो. उन्होंने मुझे बाहर खड़े रखा जस्ट बिकॉज आई हैव 22 पैसेंजर्स. आई डोंट हैव एनी आइडिया व्हाई दे हैव केप्ट मी आउटसाइड. दे आर नॉट गिविंग मी एनी काइंड ऑफ रिस्पॉन्स राइट नाउ. सो आई वांट अ प्रॉपर हियर. मोर्स नहीं है. मैं इधर सबके साथ बात कर रही हूँ, किसी के साथ कोई रिस्पॉन्स नहीं दे रहा है.
No prior intimation also?
नो नो नो.
तो अभी नासिक जा रहे हैं और नासिक का फ्लाइट जो है वो डिले बता रहा है, 1 घंटा डिले बता रहा है. ठीक है, वी आर होपिंग नाउ. कल से सुन रहे हैं 600 फ्लाइट्स कैंसिल हो गए हैं और इंडिगो इतना बड़ा एयरलाइन है और वजह कुछ भी हो लेकिन उन्होंने ध्यान देना चाहिए. और DGCA का उनको रूल्स मालूम नहीं था क्या पहले से, और तब से उतना स्टाफ भर के रखना चाहिए ना उन्होंने, बराबर ना. ये भी उनको मालूम होना चाहिए.
एक ही एयरलाइन की मोनोपोली इतनी नहीं होनी चाहिए. सभी को सरीखा ये करना चाहिए.
आप भी वही फ्लाइट में है सर?
अभी उनके साथ ही हूँ, इसलिए मैंने बोला कि सिर्फ मोनोपोली का इशू हो जाता है. एक सब पूरा देश को हिला दिया है ना.
हाँ,
इतना ट्रैफिक डिस्टर्बेंस हो गया.
स्टेटस क्या है, कुछ आइडिया है?
आज फ्लाइट कैंसिल हुआ, मुझे जानकारी हुआ. आज इन्होंने हड़ताल करी है इंडिगो वालों ने. पता नहीं हड़ताल कब खुलेगी. और आप देख सकते हैं पूरे जितने भी टूरिस्ट हैं ये सब परेशान हैं, यहाँ पे गर्मी में खड़े हुए हैं और कोई भी ये आपका इंडिगो वाला सुनने को तैयार नहीं है. और सभी लोग परेशान हैं. किसी को एमरजेंसी जाना है तो कैसे जाए. तो हमें सरकार से गुजारिश है इनकी प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करा जाए और फ्लाइंग जल्दी स्टार्ट.
आपको कोई इंटीमेशन आया था इनके पहले?
नहीं, कोई व्हाट्सएप पे नहीं, कोई मैसेज नहीं, कुछ कॉलिंग नहीं.
आप यहाँ आने के बाद में आपको पता चला?
यहाँ आने के बाद हम परेशान हुए तब.
यहाँ पे शादी के लिए आए थे और इंडिगा वालों ने कोई मैसेज नहीं करा, कोई कॉल नहीं करा, कोई भी इन्होंने बताया नहीं. पहले से 11 बजे तक इनकी फ़्लाइट ऑन टाइम दिखा रही थी, अब एकदम से कैंसिल दिखा रही है. हम पूछ रहे तो कोई जवाब नहीं, कोई रीशेड्यूलिंग नहीं, कोई कुछ नहीं.
I am suffering. I had a high impression about Indigo and it is not up to the mark now. I am very bad. I am feeling very bad.
Where was your flight scheduled for, sir? Where were you supposed to go?
Bangalore.
The flight is cancelled now?
Yes. And since 4 years I am traveling. Now I am chronic. No.
मेरा नाम हर्ष जैन है और मेरा गोवा से बॉम्बे का फ्लाइट है, लेकिन कोई जवाब देने के लिए तैयार नहीं है. यहाँ पे मैं इंडिगो के ऑफिस में भी जाके आया, वहाँ ऑफिस के अंदर कोई नहीं बैठा है, लाइट भी बंद है और सीआईएसएफ के जवान हमको एयरपोर्ट के अंदर भी एंट्री नहीं करने दे रहे कि इंडिगो का कोई भी फ्लाइट, सारे फ्लाइट कैंसिल है, कोई भी पैसेंजर अंदर नहीं आ सकता इंडिगो का। मेरा सवेरे 11:30 बजे का फ्लाइट था और अभी घड़ी के अंदर बज गया है 2। मैं यहाँ पे आ गया था 9:30 बजे। मैं 9:30 बजे से वेट कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन कोई मुझे सेटिस्फाइड जवाब नहीं मिल रहा है।
The situation in Goa reflects a much broader national issue. Across India, passengers reached airports this morning to find long queues, packed terminals, and display boards filled with cancellations. Indigo, which operates the largest fleet in the country, cancelled several hundred flights between December 4th and 5th. Major hubs including Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, and Chennai reported the heaviest impact. The disruption began soon after stricter flight duty rules came into force earlier this week. These rules mandate longer rest periods for pilots and include new limits on late night operations. Indigo's crew rosters, built under the old framework, struggle to meet the updated requirements. The airline has admitted to planning lapses, saying the transition exposed short-term crew shortages and triggered widespread cancellations. As cancellations mounted, the aviation regulator, the DGCA, stepped in with emergency measures. It granted Indigo a temporary exemption from some night duty restrictions and even instructed its own inspectors to support operations. Officials stress that these relaxations are short-term steps to stabilize services while the airline rebuilds its roster. At airports across the country, the effect has been immediate. Travelers lined up at help desks for refunds or alternative flights. Many reported confusion over delays, misplaced baggages, and limited communication from the airline. Indigo says it may take several days to restore normal operations. The airline has indicated that complete schedule stability could return only by early February. Meanwhile, the DGCA continues to monitor compliance and ensure that the temporary relaxations do not compromise safety. Hiro Mahale, Sandeep Kamulkar, Lindsay Menezes, and Arun Naik for Goa365.
The RBI just dropped a policy surprise, and yes, it affects your EMIs, deposits, shopping plans, and possibly even your 2026 budget mood. With inflation cooling faster than expected and growth looking stronger than earlier thought, the central bank has cut the repo rate again, hoping to nudge banks, markets, and you, the consumer, towards spending with a little more confidence.
The RBI just dropped a policy surprise. And yes, it affects your EMIs, deposits, shopping plans, and possibly even your 2026 budget mood. With inflation cooling faster than expected and growth looking stronger than earlier thought, the central bank has cut the repo rate again, hoping to nudge banks, markets, and you, the consumer, towards spending with a little more confidence. The Reserve Bank of India's Monetary Policy Committee on Friday announced a 25 basis point cut in the repo rate, taking it down to 5.25%. The decision, taken unanimously, ends the 2-month pause and extends the ongoing rate reduction cycle that began early this year. RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra said the Indian economy has shown exceptional resilience despite global uncertainty, and the inflation trajectory finally gives the central bank enough breathing space to support growth more aggressively. But here's the big takeaway for you and me. This move can make loans cheaper, though fixed deposit rates may dip again. The RBI has lifted India's FY26 GDP growth estimate to 7.3%, up from 6.8%. The central bank expects robust momentum across manufacturing, agriculture, and services, supported by strong Kharif output, healthy Rabi sowing, and steady domestic demand. Even the quarterly projections look upbeat, with growth expected to hover between 6.5% and 7% till early FY27. According to Malhotra, India is entering a rare Goldilocks moment, with high growth and softening inflation, something policymakers have long been waiting for. After hitting a record low in October 2025, headline CPI inflation has eased far more than anticipated. Improved food supply, Moderating global commodity prices and healthy reservoir levels have helped reduce pressure on household budgets. The MPC has now trimmed its inflation forecast for FY26 from 2.6% to 2%, with Q3 expected to see inflation as low as 0.6%. So, what does this mean for the common person? Here's where it gets real. Home, auto, and personal loan EMIs are likely to get cheaper over the next 4 to 6 weeks. Banks may cut FD rates again, so new depositors might earn a little less. Borrowers stand to benefit, especially those on floating rates. Retail credit is expected to pick up, as lower rates usually encourage buying houses, cars, gadgets. Refinancing may become attractive if banks reduce lending rates meaningfully. Depositors, especially senior citizens, may feel the pinch as banks realign to the new rate environment. To make sure the rate cut reaches borrowers, the RBI also announced 1 lakh crore of OMO purchases and a $5 billion rupee swap. This should ensure cash flows freely in the system and banks can lend at lower rates without worrying about short-term liquidity issues. Experts say the move might revive foreign inflows too, especially after this year's large outflows, by signaling stability and renewed growth ambition. Most analysts believe the RBI has done its part, and it's now up to banks, markets, and consumers to translate this into stronger growth. With rate-sensitive sectors like real estate, autos, and banks likely to gain momentum, the next 2 quarters will reveal how effectively the rate cut trickles through the economy. The next MPC meeting is scheduled for February 4th to 6th, 2026, where markets will watch closely if the RBI continues its neutral stance or hints at more moves ahead. Manish Parab and Vaishnavi Salgamkar for Goa365.
We'll be back shortly with more news after this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. As election season approaches, a major controversy has erupted in Goa. Names of a large section of Goan NRI voters have allegedly been removed from the electoral rolls, raising serious concerns. Citizens Forum for Democracy have alleged 90% of NRI voter names have been deleted, triggering fears of significant consequences.
NRI citizens were given only 1 month to update their details, but the Citizens Democracy Forum has demanded at least 3 months of the process. They have written to the Election Commission seeking answers and raising objections. They also allege that while the government claims to digitalize services, many eligible voters are still physically submitting documents at the government offices. They demanded a detailed inquiry into why NRI voters' names were removed. More in this report.
To the Election Commission of India direct letter बरयलें. Main म्हणटा ते कितें आहा? At the outset, ज्ञानेश कुमार गुप्ता आमी congratulate करता, म्हणजे India congratulate करता. Gyanesh Kumar Gupta has taken the chairmanship of what is called IDEA, International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance. For Democracy and Electoral Assistance. आता डेमोक्रेसी खंय पावल्यार ते लोक जाणा आनी इलेक्टोरल असिस्टन्स आमकां हांगाच मेळना म्हणून आमकां परते परते लोकां मुखार येवचें पडटा. बट नेवरदलेस इट इज चेअरमॅनशीप फॉर इंडिया इज अ 35 मेंबर ग्रुप 35 कंट्रीज फॉर इलेक्टोरल असिस्टन्स आनी डेमोक्रेसी फुडें व्हरपाक. डेमोक्रेसी फुडें वयतली ही आशा दवरून कांय मुद्दे उठयता. आतां NRIचो एक मेन मुद्दो जाल्लो आसा आनी सेकंड म्हणटा ते 90,000 डिलिशन 90,000 वोटर्स डिलिशन. एकूण 11,80,000 वोटर आसा. 12 जर धरले जाल्यार 90% म्हणल्यार ऑलमोस्ट कितले जाले 8-9% जाले वोटर 8%. तर इतले वोटर एका धपक्याक भायर उडोवप इट्स अ कॉज फॉर कन्सर्न. मेन कितें जाल्लें आसा SIRन ट्रेडिशनली जे पार्टीक दिसता की वोटर हॉस्टायल म्हणजे आपल्याक वोट घालचो ना तो कसो तरी भायर पडचो अशा हेतून हे सगळें प्रोसिजर पळयलो जाल्यार अशें दिसपाक लागला आनी लास्ट थोडे दीस उरल्या तितून आमकां एक जाय की जाता तितले वोटर भितर उरचे बिकॉज हो एंटायर एक्सरसायज एक चल्ला हो प्रोसिजरल एक्सरसायज आमचो जो रायट आसा इट इज अ सबस्टेंटीव रायट गॅरंटीड अंडर द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया हो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल रायट हो खंयच्या सरकारान दिल्लो रायट न्ही सरकारां येतली वयतली दे हॅव नॉट गिवन दीस रायट टू वोट हो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनान दिला आनी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन आमी आमकांच दिल्ले लोकांनी ज्या दिसाक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन आतां हालींच आमी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन डे नोव्हेंबरान जेन्ना ऑब्जर्व केल्लो तेन्ना हे परते मुखार हाडटा सो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल रायट इलेक्शन कमिशन फर्स्ट टायम काडपाच्या रस्त्यार आसा बरेच लोकांचे काडपाच्या रस्त्यार आसा हाज्या पयलीं जेन्ना हांव बी आसतालो ह्या सिस्टमान तेन्ना आमी आवट ऑफ द वे वचून वोटरांक एनरोल करपाचो प्रयत्न करताले कित्याक तेन्ना इलेक्शन कमिशनां जी न्यूट्रल आसताली चडशी तांकां जाय असले वोटर एड जाल्ले पण फर्स्ट टायम वी आर सीइंग दॅट देर इज एन अटेम्प्ट टू डिलीट म्हणून दीस इज अ फायट बॅक आमी परते कित्याक सांगता इट इज अ फायट बॅक टू सी दॅट वी रिमेन in the voter list and enjoy this constitutional right to vote that the intention is to delete you and that is why the fight is to keep you हो इतलोच मेन मुद्दो हे सांगपाक सोदतालो मेन म्हणटा ते एनआरआयचे दुसरे म्हणटा ते तांकां एक्सटेंशन दिवचे आनी दुसरे म्हणटा ते हे जे रोल बॅक करूंक शकता परते तेजेर मातसो वॉच आसपाक जाय आनी लास्ट सांगता काल पर्यंत 4 तारीख पर्यंत बरेचशे ऑफिसर प्रेशर घाली बीएलओचेर की आता फॉर्मां घेवपाची बंद करा म्हणून हांव लोकां कडेन मागता टील द 11th ऑफ डिसेंबर टील द क्लोजर ऑफ द ऑफिस टायम तुमकां ही सवलत आसा तुमचे फॉर्म दिवपाक हांगा भायर एक आमचो फ्रेंड बसला अजून ताचे फॉर्म कलेक्ट जावंक ना पण थोडे इयारोंक ती मातशे हौस की आमी सगळे केले म्हणपाक इन टायम वेदर यू डू इट इन टायम ऑर डोंट डू इट इन टायम वी डोंट केअर पण कोणाचे जर फॉर्म घेनासतना उरत आय अपील टू द पीपल टू फर्स्ट डायल 1950 1950 वो डायरेक्ट नंबर मारपाक स्टार्ट करा आय एम टेलिंग द पीपल काय भिवपाची गरज ना हितून गव्हर्नमेंट क्वार्टर्स आता पणजेचेच सांगता तुमकां हांव क्लियर कट इन्फॉर्मेशन आसा police quarters, Altino quarters, government quarters, Pato government quarters, GRP quarters, demolish जाल्ले आसा पण वोटर आसा त्या एड्रेसाचेर पॉलिटेक्निक क्वार्टर्स, फॅक्टरीज बॉयलर्स क्वार्टर्स, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी क्वार्टर्स, सीबीआय क्वार्टर्स ह्या जाग्यांचेर वेकेट करून कितली वर्सां सोडून गेल्ले लोक अजून थंय वोटर म्हणून परते येवंक शकता आनी पर्टिक्युलरली ह्या रोलबॅक फंक्शनान हे बीएलओ आनी ह्या परत एक सवलत दिल्ली आसा बरें आहा पण जेन्युन वोटर जे उरल्या भायर तांचे खातीर जर दिला इट इज गुड पण असले जर हांगा रेटीट करपाक लागले जाल्यार आमचो डिमांड आसा की त्या बीएलओचेर त्या इआरओचेर नॉट ओन्ली डिसिप्लिनरी एक्शन तांचेर अंडर रिप्रेझेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल्स एक्ट क्रिमिनल एक्शन जावपाक जाय आनी हे लोकच करूंक शकता.
Ramesh Naik Raut, Manisha Jadhav and Arun Naik for Goa365.
Tensions and geopolitics made way for diplomacy today as Russian President Vladimir Putin landed in New Delhi for a landmark visit, the first by a Russian head of state in over 4 years. From a ceremonial welcome to high-stakes talks with our Prime Minister, the visit has captured global attention. Here's everything you need to know about what's unfolding.
President Putin's arrival was marked by full honors. A tri-services guard of honor at the forecourt of Rashtrapati Bhavan and a warm greeting from leaders before he paid tribute at Rajghat, offering floral homage at the memorial of the father of the nation. Putin was personally received by Narendra Modi at Delhi's Palam airport. In a rare and symbolic gesture of friendship, the two leaders even shared a car ride to the Prime Minister's residence before attending an informal dinner together. The core of the visit lies in the summit, as both sides aim to uplift their special and privileged strategic partnership. Multiple agreements are set to be signed, covering trade, energy, ports and shipping, defense cooperation, and high-tech collaboration. On diplomacy and global security, India made its stance clear. Prime Minister Modi reiterated that India is on the side of peace, calling for a negotiated end to the war in Ukraine and emphasized continued cooperation against terrorism and extremism.
Distinguished Prime Minister, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to sincerely thank the President of the Republic of India, Draupadi Murmu, you personally, distinguished Prime Minister, and all our Indian colleagues for the warm and hospitable welcome accorded to the Russian delegation. The negotiations that we've just had with the Indian colleagues, and as well as our talk yesterday with distinguished Mr. Modi in the form of Tele at his residence, the dinner was great. I would like to thank you for this sign of attention. These talks were very useful. They were held in a constructive and a friendly atmosphere, in the spirit of the special and privileged partnership between Russia and India. I would like to point out that we and Prime Minister Modi have established close working dialogue. In September this year we met during the SEO summit in Tianjin. We are regularly having telephone calls. We are monitoring the course of the implementation of key bilateral projects, and today, with the participation of our delegations, we have meticulously and substantively reviewed the whole range of relevant questions of the Russian-Indian multifaceted interaction. We exchanged our opinions on the relevant global and regional subjects.
आज भारत और रूस के 23वें शिखर सम्मेलन में राष्ट्रपति पुतिन का स्वागत करते हुए मुझे बहुत खुशी हो रही है। उनकी यात्रा ऐसे समय हो रही है जब हमारे द्विपक्षीय संबंध कई ऐतिहासिक माइलस्टोन के दौर से गुजर रहे हैं। ठीक 25 वर्ष पहले राष्ट्रपति पुतिन ने हमारी स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप की नींव रखी थी। 15 वर्ष पहले 2010 में हमारी साझेदारी को स्पेशल एंड प्रिविलेज स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप का दर्जा मिला। पिछले 2.5 दशक से उन्होंने अपने नेतृत्व और दूरदृष्टि से इन संबंधों को निरंतर सींचा है। हर परिस्थिति में उनके नेतृत्व ने आपसी संबंधों को नई ऊंचाई दी है।
As summit talks progress and agreements are inked, the world will be watching for how its renewed partnership impacts not only regional geopolitics but also India's strategic balancing between global powers. Subhashish Govekar and Sanika Nagvekar for Goa365.
Don't go anywhere, we will be back shortly after this small break. Welcome back. And lastly, for the weather, Goa's early December weather holds steady, shaped by warm easterly winds and a persistent dry spell across both districts. The mornings still carry a hint of haze, but the days remain bright and comfortably warm. With no major systems nearby, the state is set for another stretch of stable skies. Here's your forecast for tomorrow.
Over the last 24 hours, Goa stayed completely dry. Dabolim recorded both the day's highest and lowest marks, a warm 34.4 degrees Celsius in the afternoon and a cool 21.2 degrees Celsius before sunrise. Tomorrow, expect partly cloudy skies with shallow haze or mist at isolated places early in the morning. Once the sun lifts the haze, temperatures will climb to around 33 degrees Celsius through the day and settle near 24 degrees Celsius at night. Easterly winds continue dominating the low atmosphere, keeping conditions stable and moisture levels low. Dry weather is expected to persist over North and South Goa until December 11th, with no significant changes on the horizon. For the fishing community, the update stays reassuring. No warnings in place, sea conditions along the Goa coast remain calm, allowing for safe operations. So, Goa heads into another warm and steady day. A little haze at dawn, a few passing clouds, and a reliable December rhythm that shows no signs of shifting just yet. Dry weather likely till December 11th. Haze mist in the early morning. Easterly winds prevail. Partly cloudy sky. Maximum and minimum temperature for Saturday 33 degrees Celsius and 24 degrees Celsius. No fisherman warning. Bureau Report Goa365 with inputs from IMD.
That wraps up our stories for today. You've been watching News Now on Goa365. For more in-depth reports and stories, visit our website at www.goa365.tv. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Goa365TV for continuous coverage and updates on stories that matter. Stay informed, stay safe, and we'll see you again this time tomorrow on Goa365.